How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana. What was that final score, Charlie? I forgot to pull that up
Oh,
before we went on the air. There's a lot to a little. Indiana wins the ball game. 81-60 is your final score as the Hoosiers move to 10-3 on the season. I'm here with Charlie, the intern, who's joining me for his last non-conference game of the season. But 81-60 is your final score for the Hoosiers. As this is kind of a was I was always looking at this as a get right game. This one in the Chicago State game, that get right means to me that you play this thing to get back into your rhythm. Uh, and I don't know that Indiana did that. The Chicago State game was at 14 first half for threes, but then they only make one in the second half. You have this game, it was disjointed, it was choppy. It seems crazy to say that they didn't play all that well when they score 81 points and win by 21. But the bottom line is that I just feel that Indiana is their efficiency was a heck of a lot better um, earlier in the season in November and early December than it has been right now. It's a win, and that's good. And you might be dealing with some guys that are just a little bit more tired than expected. But a good break, I think, is a positive thing for this team. 812-393-2600 is the number. It is a Monday night, a couple days before Christmas against Siena. They've already shut down some of the lights here at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. So it's a subdued crowd, uh, but it's the students are gone, so that's to be expected, and that's where we're at. Charlie, your impressions of the game early on. You've been to a number of these now.
yeah.
You've covered a number of these. Just your thoughts on what you saw from the Hoosiers tonight.
I think they had to put more shots up, more good shots up than they did. Good shots. They put up a lot of shots, but most of them weren't as good as they needed to be. I think they need to be just a little bit better at the hoop. They have to finish. That they're soft at the bucket, and he says it all the time, but they're soft at the bucket, and there's no way avoiding it. They are.
Can't disagree with him there. I'm going to have him move his microphone away from his mouth just a little bit, but that's the thing that keeps standing out here for me for this ball club is that their shot selection isn't great. The ball movement that we saw earlier in the season that was just so crisp and so refreshing and so full of energy has kind of dissipated over the past couple of weeks. And what you have is an Indiana team that I feel is um, I know that Darren DeVries wants to play making a lot of and shooting a lot of threes, but Indiana in this one, 26 2-pointers, 24 3-pointers, get to the free throw line 30 times. Uh, some shots are forced, and they are taking shots that are open without them being maybe good shots. And I would like to see that shot selection be a little bit better. I know that Darren DeVries likes to work in volume. And when you're talking about a team that made 46% of its shots, 37.5% from 3-point range, 86.7% from the free throw line, uh, you expect that was a decent game, but I didn't like the energy of this team in the second half. Only 11 assists on 23 made baskets, whereas earlier in the season we saw one of these games they had 31 assists, 31 assists, and that's not what we saw today. And so that to me is one of the concerns for this team. 812-393-2600 is your number. As again, I understand that we might not have a lot of people, on here. But feel free to chat and throw in some questions. But we'd love to hear from you. Uh, we go over some of the keys in this game. Basically, what you had was a Siena team that played harder than Indiana did in the second half. Siena scores 40 points after halftime. And Indiana scored 35, so it's not like it was dismal. But the bottom line is, this is a team that Indiana should be uh, absolutely ripping. And instead, they get outscored in the second half by Siena because Siena was just playing harder than the Hoosiers. It's plain and simple, and that's something that we could really see just as the game went on, as the second half progressed. Siena was just quicker to loose balls and just was more active.
Yeah, they definitely were more active and trying to get on the ball. But let's switch to fouls here. Th- there was an excessive amount of fouls in this ball game. Um, there was a lot of stoppage of the clocks, under 10 minutes, and it was there were some questionable calls, but it overall it was there were a lot of fouls that IU shouldn't have been making.
It led to it there being a lack of rhythm in this game, and that's something that really stood out for sure. Is that there wasn't a ton of rhythm, and it left things choppy. And you'll hear Darren DeVries here in a few seconds talk to that point that it was a little more choppy than what we're used to. Uh, but the bottom line is you have to be able to fight through that. And maybe if you're the Hoosiers, you don't reach quite as much. You don't, you move your feet, you get in good position. And I felt that the Hoosiers were a step slow, like that, like I've seen them in the past few games, being a step slow, and so maybe reaching instead of being in good defensive position, which has led to there being fouls. And obviously having a ton of these fouls is brutal to deal with. But that's why you end up with Siena had 28 free throws. Indiana had 30. Now, my journalism degree, Charlie, says that it is 58 free throws right there. And then, when it comes to the fouls, 20 fouls for Indiana, 20 for Siena, 40 total fouls.
Yeah, it that's a lot of fouls, and I don't know if they're on Indiana or the refs. I'm not trying to blame it on the refs, but it part of it may be the refs. But
They were a little touchy
they
at
were
times, yeah,
touched.
for
They were
sure.
touchy,
Yeah.
but um, the thing is, we're looking at this chart here, and it looks like the chart when I play NBA 2K with the all-time Bulls, with Michael Jordan, who has like 58 points, and then the rest of the people have like 16, 1 point, and all those different things.
Well, I mean, you did have, four players scoring double figures, so there was a little bit of balance. But yeah, there's no
hmm
question. There's a little bit.
Like Lamar
Uh,
Wilkerson
we're
had
just going
23
to get into it.
points.
Yeah, we'll get into the individuals in just a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Darren DeVries with his they. It was a little bit unusual, and then they brought in Darren DeVries and Tayton Connerway at the same time. Normally, they bust up the players and the coaches. That wasn't the case today. It's Siena. It's a late Tuesday. People want to get off to Christmas, so that is something that we'll have. So, without any further ado, let me go ahead and bring in Darren DeVries during his post-game press conference, along with Tayton Connerway.
Yeah, Coach, I guess just kind of a little bit of a big picture question. The starts of the second half, you guys have had some struggles. What do you see are the issues? What needs to be better moving forward?
Yeah, just I thought first of all, I thought the first half was exactly what we wanted. You get a lead and you're up 26. So the good part is if that's what we got to work on, that's a good thing. If we got to figure out how to figure that problem out. But I thought just the second half we just lost a little bit of our edge. At both ends of the floor. The first half we were getting stops, allowed us to get out in transition, allowed us to get our shooters free. Second half we weren't quite as stingy defensively. We're taking the ball out of the net a lot more, and the game really just slowed down at that point. And I thought the game it was just a choppy game. A lot of fouls, a lot of dead ball situations and things. So never really had any flow in that second half. But I thought we were able to, after a little lull there, I thought we were able to get it pushed back out. I thought, Tayton did a good job getting downhill and getting to the rim and creating some things for us to open that thing back up again.
I guess to follow on from that, I mean, you guys are top 20 KenPom defensive efficiency here headed into the break. And I know when we talked in the summer, you said you felt like your team was further along offensively than it was defensively. Do you see things that kind of like, I don't want to say surprise you, but building blocks that maybe have gotten into place faster defensively, or maybe that have changed your expectations for this team defensively because of what overall you have been able to do there?
Yeah, I think defensively, I've really liked it, and I've said it from the summer. We weren't there yet, but I thought there was a lot of promise for us as a defense. I think our ball toughness is where it starts. I think our perimeter guys do a really good job of making things difficult and challenging for guys to not just play, freely. And they've really bought into that and given us great effort there. Like I told the guys, whatever our rankings are right now, it really comes down to, like, we still have to clean up the defensive rebounding. That number would be even better, and that's got to be our priority as we come back from Christmas break here, is clean that up so now we can get out and play in transition, which is going to ultimately help our offense.
And Tayton, if you don't mind if I just follow up on that, Coach talked about making it hard for guys to get downhill. Just how much of an emphasis is that for this group, especially when you think about the harder it is for the ball to get in the paint, the easier it's going to be to do things like in possessions, clear rebounds, et cetera?
Definitely just keeping them out of the paint, because it keeps you from having them little short, easy shots. So every time you get in the paint, they try to kick it out. But if you can get them spraying it around the three-point line, we're already in position to help. So it just keeps the defense solid.
I noticed you ran something for Tucker right out of the gate tonight. Got him a good look. He had a really good game on the glass, too. I mean, I know he struggled a little bit recently with the shot, but it's obviously a father-son relationship. But as his coach, I mean, what do you see like on a night when he's shooting the ball well versus a night where maybe he struggles? Yeah,
I think a little thing like, everybody, even the really good shooters sometimes can get in a little slump and start to maybe question themselves a little bit. And we even mentioned the other night, when Lamar had a little stretch early in the year, just trying to find him an easy one. So we started the game out, tried to get him a post touch, see if we could get, something going, a little further in, see the ball go in, and hopefully get that started for him. But, long term, it's probably just a good time to get a break, everybody get their legs back underneath them and come back and be refreshed again.
I was going to ask you about that in terms of, you had a kind of a limited roster number, available for injuries kind of at the start. How do you feel you made through these 2 months, and how are guys, do you feel like this break is going to be, you pull back a little bit, and how have you kind of managed, how is everybody, feeling 2 months in?
Yeah, I think the good part is we're getting more guys healthy, and that's even helped with practice too. You just got more bodies that we can keep guys fresh. So that part's been good. It has been a long summer and things with our trip, and now the season, and to have a few days off here, it's a nice clean break. Just not only physically but mentally. Just take a couple days and clear your head, and then come back and really be locked in to get ready for a long stretch run.
Darren, kind of on that, with this break coming up, it's kind of a natural break in the season, finished non-conference play tonight. Just how would you assess your team through the first 2 months of the season? What's kind of the progress report for you guys right now?
Yeah, we've learned a lot. It's like we've talked about, when you have all new guys, you see what you see in practice, but until you get under the game lights, you don't know for sure how everybody's going to respond to different situations and circumstances, home, road, zones, man, pressure, no pressure, those type of things. So I think as a coaching staff and as a team, we've learned a lot. We felt like there's an opportunity or two that we let get away. But hopefully it was something that we understand why, and it's things that are within our control, and we can correct it. And if we can come back and do that and get ourselves ready, that maybe we don't pay for that later down the road. So it was a couple good learning lessons in there. We just have to make sure that we learn from them.
Yeah, Tayton, what was going right in the first half, offensively and defensively, for you guys to get that big lead?
Just sharing the ball. We had this thing where we talked about it first, giving up a good shot for an even better shot, and I feel like we did a great job of that.
Yeah, Coach, on the offensive end, do you expect over the next couple of weeks that there'll be points of emphasis, whether it's, improving against switching defenses or heavy ball pressure or anything like that? Like, what will be your areas of focus?
Yeah, I thought these last maybe 2 weeks, we've become a little more turnover prone. So, getting back to making sure we have some ball security and ball toughness with those things. And then really, as physicality ramps up, you have to put more of an emphasis on your screens and more of an emphasis on winning the war, as we like to say, whether you're the cutter or the ball handler. And between the two, now all of a sudden you can create some opportunities because you get two to the ball, and now we can find people in space. But those are the things that we got to get better at. I know from an offensive standpoint, at times when we've struggled, we haven't been as good in those areas. So we need to do a much better job of that as we get back from Christmas here and get ready for the new year.
Tatum, kind of following up what the coach just said, both of these games you guys have won comfortably. The defense has been great. You've shot the lights out in the first half, and things go kind of sideways in the second half. Is the team staying locked in, the foot down, hands on the throat, just trying to do everything till the end, even though you've got these comfortable leads? Is that possibly playing a part?
Yeah, so just trying to weather the storm. Like we know whenever we come back out there and we're up 20, we know this team's gonna come out and try to punch us first. So trying to weather that first little 4 or 5 minute storm. If we can't punch them in the mouth first, then we got to definitely rebound the ball. Got to really lock into the little details whenever we come out of that second half.
Tatum, it seemed like you took over there in the second half while the offense kind of struggled a little bit. Was that something you saw, something that coach said? What kind of happened for you to step up and get downhill more often in the second half?
Just something we seen on film. We seen that there was a couple people that we could attack off the dribble. And coach believed in me and thought I could get by the first one. And I had some teammates that set some good screens and got me open, and just happened to work out good.
Given the context of how new the team was at the beginning of the year, Tate, this is for Tate, how much better do you think you are as a group now than if you look back 2 months?
I definitely think we've took a lot of big steps, being able to understand like what each other's really good at. We kind of know where, like, if we set a screen for somebody, we know if they're going to roll, we know if they're going to pop. As at first, we didn't know. Like, we didn't know who was our best shooters. We didn't know, like, who was going to do what. But everybody buying into their role definitely helped us a lot.
Yeah, Coach, as far as the break, sort of, how do you sort of break this up? How do you handle as far as time off when they come back? And then when you do come back, outside of things you mentioned, what are 2 or 3 things you look at and say, I'd like for us to be improved in January in these areas?
Yeah, the guys, basically they're off right now, and a lot of them won't be able to leave till tomorrow, but they'll come back. We'll start practice again on the 27th, so they'll get a good full 4 days, which is a nice break. You don't always get that, for this. So, and then we'll practice the night of the 27th. I think the biggest thing that we've talked about the several key areas, the turnovers and the defensive rebounding. I mean, that's always going to be something that we're going to prioritize because I believe that's. You have to win those 2 battles every night if you're going to give yourself a chance. So we have to turn the ball over less, defensive rebound better. So those will be the top 2. And then it's the screening, the force, all that stuff on the offensive end, playing with pace. And then defensively, just continue to do what we've been doing and try to get better at it and continue to find new ways as we maybe see different offenses that are going to attack us in different ways. So that we have some things ready for that when that time comes.
Tate and coach has talked a lot about defensive rebounding, and I know you guys maybe don't have the biggest front court, so that also falls on the guards a little bit. How do you guys kind of improve in that area moving forward, and what is the key in your mind to becoming a good defensive rebounding team?
I think it's defensive rebounding, so it's kind of more like just a want to do it. So we're having our guards go in there instead of leaking out. We got to get us all 5 crashing. We know that if we can hold them to 1 shot, our defense is pretty solid.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all. Mary.
So there's Darren DeVries during his post-game press conference following Indiana's 81-60 win over Siena. I'm here with Charlie, the intern, my son, who covers a couple games a year with me. Always does a football game, does a couple basketball games, and wanted to get into some of the individuals here for Indiana tonight. The individual stats: 812-393-2600 is the number. Give us a call. But individual stats, Hoosiers are led by Lamar Wilkerson, 23 points on 7 of 15 shooting, 3 of 7 from the three-point range, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, had 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a couple of turnovers, had a steal, was plus 22 on the night. Tatum Connerway, 16 points, who we just heard of. Tatum Connerway, 16 points, 6 of 10 shooting, 0 of 1 from three-point range. I give Connerway a lot of credit. He's not one of those guys gunning for a three-pointer. He's looking to go to the basket. Goes to the free throw line 4 times, converts all of it. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, a couple of steals in 29 minutes, plus 24 on the night. Tucker DeVries, 16 points, 5 of 13 shooting, 3 of 9 from three-point range. He had 11 rebounds, so a nice double-double for Tuck. He did have 4 fouls, though. Played 35 minutes, was plus 24 on the night. Connor Enright, 1 point on 0 of 1 shooting. He had 5 rebounds and 3 assists versus 2 turnovers. Played 29 minutes. And then Sam Alexis, 8 points on 2 of 2 shooting, 6 rebounds. He did have 3 turnovers on the day. 21 minutes, he was plus 18. Off the bench, Indiana got 11 points from Nick Dorn on 3 of 6 shooting. All of those shots from 3-point range. He adds a couple of rebounds and a turnover. And Reed Bailey, 6 points on 0 of 2 shooting. All 6 of those points came from the free throw line. He adds 2 rebounds, 3 fouls, plays 17 minutes. And then Josiah Miles plays 1 minute. You had a couple of Trent Sisley only played 9 minutes on the day, didn't record anything offensively. He did have a rebound and ran into a couple of fouls. And then you had your walk ons come in late in the game. And the Hoosiers shoot 46% from the field overall, score 40 points in the first half, or I guess, what was it in the first half? 46 points in the first half, just 35 after halftime, and they just looked sluggish. And had Siena been making some threes, they were just 3 of 20 on the day. That is something that could have made a big difference.
Yeah. I think that if Indiana started to move quicker during the season, I think they have a chance against Nebraska, Michigan State, and the games coming up if they can get those conference games in and be quick, be strong, and make the baskets that they shoot.
Well, that's the challenge, is that it is, coming into the Big Ten season. I want to talk a little bit about this team and uh, where they're at from an energy standpoint, because we saw earlier this year that the energy was really good. The team was crisp. This is a team that is made up of mostly guys that have played at the mid-major level. Tucker DeVries obviously isn't a mid-major guy. Neither is Sam Alexis. Connor Enright played at Drake, so there's that. But a lot of these guys, this is the first time that they've had to play game over and over and over again against elite talent along the way. Your Kentuckys, your Louisvilles, your Kansas States, places like that, and you know the grind of learning all this and working as hard as they have. That's all part of it, and it has been a big part of what it is. That could be playing into the energy issue as well. Which again, it's a shame if that's the case, because you have more basketball, a lot more basketball, a lot tougher basketball coming up as well. Having a 4-day break here is going to be critical. But Charlie, watching this team, the Hoosiers have not done a great job of finding consistency on the floor, and it's a bit of a concern of mine.
Yeah, me too. Uh, they they just, like I've said a lot this time. Um, you got to make the shots that you shoot, and they were making their free throws good and dandy, and there were a lot of those. And I think a lot of their points came out of the free throw line instead of all of the shooting from behind the arc and in the mid range. And
Yeah, it's so now that's 3 straight halves where Indiana maybe didn't shoot the three at a level that we've seen before. As if you look at it, I think they were 1 of 17 in the second half against Chicago State. First half they were 7 of 16, so that was solid. But in the second half, 2 of 8. You just want them to be more efficient, and again, that's where the ball movement, the crispness, all of that is something that's lacking. 812-393-2600 is the number. Give us a call. We're going to shut down the lines and keep this one short, and that's understandable. Big program note, going to be having a call-in show next week. I know there's no basketball game, but in that space in between Christmas and New Year's, we'll get together and talk a little bit, open things up for everybody to talk about IU football, the Rose Bowl, the challenge that Alabama is going to bring to the floor, or to the field, and where the Hoosiers can go. And plus, I'm going to talk to guys from Peegs.com about this basketball program and kind of where they are at this point in the season. But I'll say this, Charlie. I was encouraged by what I saw early in the year. It was a very refreshing brand of basketball. I am concerned with this team because as you get into the Big Ten season, having a lack of athleticism, a lack of speed, a lack of quickness can create a lot of problems for the Hoosiers, and that's to me that's the biggest concern for this team going forward.
yeah, you have to start you have to start going faster, pushing harder like they did in November.
Yeah.
Uh, and in those exhibition games at the start of the season. They have to not be sluggish. They have to keep going.
I tweeted some about this early during the game. I said that the exact tweet that I had was that IU's attempted 22 of its 38 shots at the time from three. And I know they want to shoot from the perimeter, but the ball movement was more crisp in in November and early December than it has been recently. Seth Tao, who's former coworker of mine at Inside Indiana Magazine, he tweeted back at me that Indiana averaged 20.9 assists a game in November. They were at 18 assists per game entering tonight with a 30 assist game against Penn State doing some heavy lifting. There's something to the ball movement drying up, and that to me is the biggest concern and something that you just want to see get fixed. I was impressed early in the season. I have been less so of late. But still, the Hoosiers now have moved to, I believe it's 10-3 on the season. We're pushing towards that halfway mark in terms of the schedule. And the challenge that we have here is that it doesn't get any easier, to say the least. And this was a game where you had hoped maybe you can rest some starters, maybe try out some of your different rotations off the bench. Hoosiers didn't get a chance to do that and didn't do that. And at one point, it almost bit him because Lamar Wilkerson kind of tweaked his ankle a little bit and he stayed in the game. But it was one of those things that's concerning. These games, this game in particular, always makes me extremely nervous because I was in the building when Maurice Creek got hurt and basically cost him his career here at Indiana on one of these nothing games around Christmas, and so I always worry about that. Guys can get hurt in any game, but obviously that's a bit of a problem. Charlie, final thoughts on what we saw at Simon Scott Assembly Hall tonight?
Yeah, like you said, Lamar tweaked his ankle down on the side and was kind of just sitting there on the court. I don't know what I would like to know what Darian said to him as he ran by the bench. He did not get subbed out.
No, I think he was just asking if he was okay.
Yeah.
He must have said okay, because again,
Yeah.
as you and I talk about a lot when you're playing baseball, there's a difference between being hurt and being injured.
So, thanks for listening.
Well, again, Charlie the intern, I really enjoy covering games with him and for joining us. So if you don't like that Charlie comes on to join me, don't listen. I don't give a damn because I'm happy to do this with my son. Merry Christmas, Charlie. So again, 81-60 is your final. And the Hoosiers now get a little bit of a rest. You heard Darren DeVries talk about how Indiana is going to give the players 4 days off, let them go with their families. And hopefully, when they come back to Simon Scott Assembly Hall against Washington January 4th, we're going to see a more energized group. Because what we saw, it wasn't a bad game, but it was just kind of sluggish in the second half. And to me, that is a huge concern. Well, that's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best NIU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time, but for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff along with Charlie the intern saying thanks for listening, everybody.